NFL crew happening. Sam Acho, good day. Harry Douglas, hello, hello. Marcus Spears. Marcus, how we feeling? How we living?
What's up, family? How y'all living? I'm good. I'm good this way.
I'm Molly Karam Rose. And gentlemen, I have one request for you. It is Friday. Can we please have some fun today?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
that's all I need.
Swagoo was freestyling yesterday. You got some bars for us, Swagoo?
Okay, let's let our hair down a little bit. Let's have a little fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right, guys, week one of the college football season kicked off in style last night with Minnesota hanging tough with Ohio State before the Buckeyes pulled away. C.J. Stroud had 4 TD passes. This weekend brings us a pair of star-studded matchups and playoff hopefuls. Alabama facing Miami in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game, with the Tide looking for their 7th title in 13 seasons, and then Georgia and Clemson. 2 of the nation's best go head-to-head, with the loser already on the chopping block of the playoff field, both games on ABC. Now, 3 of those teams have among the shortest odds to take home the title this season, with Alabama being the favorites at plus 260, Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia, and Oklahoma close behind, and no other team is even close. Everyone else is at 40-1. Harry, you are up first, sir. We're talking must-win. Is it a must-win for Georgia?
I think it's a must-win for Georgia. And when I look at this in 3 ways, Molly. I look at it as a program. I look at it from this season, and I look at it from the eyes of JT Daniels as a quarterback. And that's who I'm going to start with. When you look at JT Daniels, he did a good job last year, the last 4 games for the Georgia Bulldogs. But when he got to the game against Cincinnati and that defense that they had, he didn't have an outstanding game. So I think from a standpoint, looking at this from JT Daniels' eyes, if he wins this game, that's just going to give him more confidence moving along throughout the season. Now, when you look at the programs, right, you look at Clemson's program, you look at Georgia's program. Since the college football playoffs have started, Georgia has only made 1 trip. They made the national championship, and they should have won it, but they didn't. Alabama beat them, and that's the one time that they've been. When you look at Clemson, since the college football playoffs have started, Clemson's have been there 6 of the 7 years with 4 trips to the national championship and 2 national titles. Now, when you look at it from that standpoint, I think Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs need this win for their program, because when you look at them in recruiting, on the scale of recruiting, Molly, they're up there with the 4- and 5-star guys recruiting with Alabama and Oklahoma and Clemson. So they're getting the guys. They just aren't getting the production done in the college football playoffs, or even making it, because they only had 1 season. When you look at this season, and everybody talks about these guys' schedule, Clemson needs to win this game because they don't have a ranked person on their schedule. Well, we need to take a look at Georgia's schedule, because the only ranked team that they have on their schedule is Florida at number 13. And when I look at Clemson, there's 2 teams I think that's on the rise in the ACC. NC State, they went 8-4 last year. They played last night, did a great job. Have a lot of people coming back offensively, a lot of people coming back defensively. I think they're going to be ranked at some point, and Boston College as well. Not to mention, they may play North Carolina in the ACC championship game, who avoids Clemson this year and might be ranked in the top 5 when that happens.
Yeah, my only issue with that is this. The question was simple. Is it a must-win for Georgia? I think it's a must-win for Clemson because of the schedule you just talked about. Clemson doesn't play anybody after this. Literally nobody. Zeros. Nunca. If you want to go Spanish on it. They don't play anybody, whereas Georgia. I'm just saying, they don't. Look at the schedule, bro. Y'all see.
Yes, nunca means never.
I know y'all seen the
schedule.
I know y'all seen the schedule. Right? So like Clemson has to win. Clemson has to win. Now, if Georgia loses, let's say Georgia loses. Let's just say, number 1, they play in the SEC. Okay, weak SEC opponents this year, whatever. But then they get a chance in the SEC championship against Alabama. And then you get a chance to go and maybe beat Alabama at the end of the season. Now, all of a sudden, you're back in the dance. But if Clemson doesn't win this game, because all I was talking about is a chance. You need a chance. If Clemson loses, and now they don't play anybody, and then maybe you play UNC in the ACC championship, maybe they've got a better record, or maybe UNC loses to Virginia like they did last year, like Mac Brown's done in a couple years before, maybe it's not as high of a ranking. And so when you talk about must-wins and who has to win this game, everybody knows it has to be Clemson.
Yeah, I'm with Acho on this one. It's a must-win for Clemson, because when you think about Georgia and covering the SEC for so long, we know the SEC. If Georgia goes to the SEC championship with 1 loss to Clemson and they beat who we think is going to be Alabama from the other side, they go into the college football playoff. Now, that's a lofty goal and a difficult task, but that's the reality of what we've seen transpire in the SEC for the last 7 years. when you start talking about it. Auburn was going into an SEC championship a few years ago with 2 losses. And if they would have beat Georgia in the SEC championship, they would have been in the college football playoff. The conference itself speaks for that game, tells you who one of the 4 best teams are. It usually works out that way. And I don't see it changing this year. In Clemson's case, Clemson may have some staying power because of the history you mentioned, Harry. But the bottom line is this, man. Like, when you look at the SEC, you got to look at it more than Georgia just winning the SEC championship. That means if Georgia goes to the SEC championship out of the East, and they play Alabama and beat Alabama, that means Alabama would have beat a Texas A&M team that's ranked very highly. They would have beat a number 16 LSU team that's ranked very highly. So it's not just about who the opponent is that you beat. Obviously, that ranking is big, but it's also the opponent you beat. What other teams did they beat on their way to get into a championship in whatever conference you're in? That is the advantage that Georgia will have that Clemson won't have. So when you look at all of these things combined, and you think about the history of the college football playoff, while we still sit at 4 teams, Georgia can afford to lose this game, and it is clear as day. Because to that point, like, everybody wants to say Clemson don't play anybody. And that is true. That's been the case for a while in the ACC. But Clemson has been that good, and they've shown enough to get into that game. It's a different situation when you start off with 2 top 5, top 10 teams game 1, because the implications are unbelievable, and who you play will be factored in more this year between Clemson and Georgia, probably than any other year we've seen in the college football playoff.
So I want to throw a scenario out for both of you guys, right? Say Georgia wins this football game. Then they go down the line and they lose to Alabama in the SEC championship, and they have that 1 loss, right? But they got that head-to-head
They still
win
going to the playoff.
Absolutely.
My point exactly. So that's why I think it's a more must-win for Georgia, because it gives them that wiggle room to actually lose in the SEC championship game versus losing to Clemson, and then you lose in the SEC championship game. Now you have 2 losses versus having 1 loss when you lose to Alabama.
But let's
I was under the assumption that we was operating on 1 loss with one of these teams.
Right.
I wasn't thinking they was like, if they lose 2, they probably out of it. To be honest with you, either one of these teams.
Yeah. And let's flip that on its head for a little bit. Let's say that Clemson goes and loses this game. And then what, right? Are we expecting Miami to be good in the ACC? Are we expecting Miami to go and beat Alabama in week 1? Are we expecting North Carolina to be their top 10 team now? Are we expecting that to continue the entire season with Sam Howell? Like, so if Clemson loses this game in week 1, and then you look at that schedule, then you look at the weakness of the ACC, at least as it stands compared to the SEC. You're not looking at a 1-loss Clemson team over a 1-loss Georgia team and taking Clemson over Georgia. It just doesn't make sense.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel like it's a more must-win for Georgia. Because if they have that 1 loss against Alabama in the SEC championship game, then they have more, and then they have the head-to-head win over Clemson, then they have more of a case.
Oh, no doubt. But, Harry, you operating on the fact that they going to run the table the rest of the way, and you get to that. But that's been the case. Like, that is the point that me and Sacho trying to get to you. Win or lose, Georgia still has the ability. Based on what we know now, right? Because we all guessing about how the ACC is going to be, and
y'all gonna stop knocking the ACC too. Y'all gonna stop knocking the ACC. Bro, I understand. I know it's not the SEC, Marcus. I know. Marcus, I know it's not the SEC. Listen, man.
We ain't got to knock the ACC.
I know it's not the SEC. But they got teams up and coming. Now, I know and Sacho, I know one thing. Sacho,
my high school is up and coming.
And Sacho the one up here talking about something.
That grave.
He talking about something. Miami can possibly beat Alabama.
Never said that.
You crazy.
Never said that.
All right. Georgia at Clemson. That one's 7:30 on ABC. Gentlemen,
Can't wait for
pros. Dallas claimed Will Grier off of waivers to give them some more depth at the quarterback position, in addition to Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush. But another former Panthers quarterback is on everybody's mind. Cowboys coach Mike McCarthy was asked whether the Cowboys had considered signing Cam Newton, who was released by the Patriots Tuesday. Here's McCarthy.
Just sit here and talk about any of the players on our roster. I don't think there's really anything that beneficial that comes out of that for us. But I had a chance to compete against Cam. A chance to watch some of his tape in New England. So I still think he has a ton of football left, but we're very excited about the group that we have.
Okay, so there's that. Marcus Spears, is Cam done? Talk to me.
I think he's done as a starter, Molly. And look, it's hard. Like, listen, man, this is the God honest truth, because people don't get on TV. Everybody want to be so professional. But Molly, you know me. I don't give a damn about that. My emotional attachment to wanting to see Cam Newton have success blinded me a little bit. And I think it's done it to a lot of people. But when you look at the reality of what football is and what Harry and Sam Macho knows it to be, it's what have you done? What have you done for me lately is the most important thing. And look, we didn't make this decision. Bill Belichick decided that a rookie was better suited to lead his team to the potential of winning a Super Bowl or getting into the playoffs than Cam Newton. So we gotta omit the MVP, the highlight plays, the Superman opening of the chest, and we gotta go to 2021 and look at this situation for what it is. And what this situation is the NFL has told us that Cam Newton is not looked at as a high-level starter in this league. He may be a guy that can come in and hold it down, and Cam Newton might change the whole narrative if he gets another opportunity to start. But remember, to Cam Newton coming to New England, it wasn't a lot of people beating the door down to get him. It wasn't a lot of teams that needed backups at the time saying, hey, let's bring Cam Newton in. But when we have these discussions about Cam Newton, as a defender for the Dallas Cowboys, when I used to go and play against the Carolina Panthers, I knew that Cam Newton was the best football player on the field. So as an analyst sitting here today, when we've had this whole conversation about Cam Newton and Mac Jones and what will happen with that, we said, well, Cam is going to be the starter and Bill wants to go with a veteran. And we kind of put a like side eye to what Mac Jones was doing. And then eventually, Molly, I don't know if you remember, I came around, I said Mac Jones is going to be the starter. Mac Jones won the job. And that's an indictment on Cam Newton and where he is as a football player. But the emotional part kept me holding on. But the bottom line is Cam Newton didn't get taken off of waivers, and Will Grier did by the Dallas Cowboys. So I don't know what else to look for evidence that Cam Newton will be a guy to start going forward. It's hard for me, y'all, because it's emotional, and I wanted to see Cam have a tremendous amount of success. And when you see a career start to take this path, it bothers you as a former NFL player because we all been there.
And Marcus, I agree with you 100%. It's hard when you sit up here and you see a guy be so dominant at the college level, be so dominant in the NFL for so long, right? A guy that's actually from the same area that I grew up in on the south side of Atlanta. But I'll be honest, I'll tell y'all, I know 100% Cam's not going to be a starter in this league this year. I know that for a fact. And I'll tell you what I'm actually concerned about. I'm more concerned about Cam's mindset right now, even if does he want to play, right? Because I don't think Cam wants to be a backup. When you're the man for that long, I don't think you can accept being a backup.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? We have this thing as men, especially football players, that sticks with us, and it's called pride. Right? And it's hard for us to adjust that and let that go when you've been the man for so long in college, even from high school, college, and to the NFL level. Now, I will tell y'all this. I am also concerned because looking at Cam in that third preseason game, I don't think Cam is healthy. I just don't. Footballs that he's throwing, outside the numbers, he's skipping passes. It looks like he's straining to even get the football out of the pocket. I don't know if he's 100% healthy. And when I read his tweet that said, don't feel sorry for me, I'm good. In my mind, that said, okay, football don't define me as a man. It's something that I did. So if I walk away from this game, either way it go, I'm going to be okay. And my family going to be straight. So that's the light I'm looking at it in.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it, too, right? I remember 2-3 weeks ago when Tim Tebow got released, we're all saying, oh, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow's about to be on TV every Friday on this show right here, right? Like with Cam Newton. Oh, no, Cam Newton, and I feel so bad. He said, don't feel bad for me. I'm going to be fine with or without football. The tape showed that Cam cannot play quarterback right now because his arm is not doing what his arm is supposed to do as a quarterback. That's what the tape said. The coaches have said, okay, you are not a starting quarterback. That's what the coaches and the league has said. And then even some people, when you talk about signing Will Grier and even talking about, like, here's the thing. Like, when you hear phrases like, oh, he's going to have he's got a lot of football ahead of him. Like, I've heard those phrases before. I didn't play after that. Like, when GM, I fired my agent. I was my own agent, right? I'm calling GMs, calling coaches, all of them. They said, oh, you're going to have a long career, but you're just not a good fit. Call another one. Man, I love the way you play, but not a good fit. That means I ain't playing the NFL anymore. That's exactly what that means. And so with Cam Newton, yes, I love the point of there's this pride, and that's like he's like Superman, bro. We're talking about Superman. We're not talking about a backup hanging on, just trying to chase rings. No, this is Cam Newton, the Cam Newton. Yep. I remember when I sacked Cam Newton. That's like one of the highlights. Man, I got a chance to sack fumbles Cam Newton in the playoffs. Like, people go and talk about that. They tell their kids about that. Like, that's something you talk about, but not a backup quarterback to go back up in Dallas or back up in Tennessee. Like, no, that's not, in my opinion, that's not who Cam is. And maybe it's what he wants, but you don't need that, man. Like, there's so much more in life, and I think Cam knows that. That's why he would tweet something to the effect of, don't worry about me. I'm good. Fine.
I'm good.
And let me make a point. Pull Molly up on the camera, because she's been a part of a lot of these discussions that we've had over time when it comes to this situation. Yeah. And I got to put this out here, and this has nothing to do with race, but it has something to do with the stigma that's put on athletic African-American quarterbacks. And this is why for the last 2 years, I've been screaming, evolve the passing game in Baltimore, Maryland. Evolve the passing game with Lamar Jackson so he can operate from the pocket. Yep. The athleticism is going to diminish. You are going to take a hit. Ask RG3. It will be a hit. It will be too many hits to your body. You have staying power. I'm not saying for the first 6-7 years it can't work. You still young, you spry, you athletic. You can get out and do what you want to do from an athletic standpoint. But at some point, this league at the quarterback spot, you are going to have to operate from the pocket. I'm telling and not just black quarterbacks, white quarterbacks, any quarterback that's athletic. If you want to be in this league and you want to have 16, 17 years of high-level football, you better operate from the pocket. That needs to be a point of emphasis for these young quarterbacks that's coming up with all that athleticism. Yes, we love dual threat. We love the Justin Fields and the Trey Lance, and these guys were drafted high. But at some point in this NFL, your athleticism will be humbled at the quarterback spot. And you better be able to be a high-level thrower of the football from the pocket if you want to continue to lead a franchise. That's my fair warning.
No,
people get mad when you say it. They like, why are you putting these guys in the box? They don't need to be that. The evidence reveals that when you get to a point in your NFL career as a quarterback, you will have to operate at a high level from the pocket. Peyton Manning was able to win a Super Bowl with a neck fusion because he was able to operate from the pocket. Tom Brady last year played on a torn MCL because he could operate from the pocket. We've had quarterbacks that we've seen do this. So listen, I'm just putting it out there, Molly. And you know, you and I have said here with Stephen A., we say it with Max, we say it with a lot of people, and the athleticism has always been the foreshadowing of what quarterbacks will do. They tried to do it in Philly with Mike Vick, and Vick had an opportunity because Vick could throw the football, but it was such a difference in the way they wanted him to play the game that he wasn't reminding everybody of that same Michael Vick. Take heed. If you don't want to listen, young dudes, don't listen. Right. But the bottom line is you got to operate in this league from the pocket at a high level at some point in your career.
Especially in Baltimore, they got to get the passing game going. Really quickly, before you jump in here so much, the only thing where I feel like we're writing the eulogy on Cam too soon and we might need to pump the brakes a little bit, injuries are going to happen, guys. And I still think Cam Newton will get calls. So I think there could be a potential, if he was a backup, where there's opportunity to become the starter. So I don't think the party's totally over for Cam, unless Cam wants it to be over, even though he hasn't received many calls as of late. Sam, I know you wanted to jump in.
Well, just to your point, Swagoo, I love, because you're telling people what they need to hear, and you're telling people facts, and you are speaking the truth. Yes, like we talked about it. It's essentially this idea of evolve or die, right? You have to evolve. You have to become different. You have to become new. Even Josh Allen, right? We talk about Josh Allen. And what was he doing? Now all of a sudden, Josh Allen, though he can run, though he's big, strong, and fast, he's developing. He's got a coordinator who's going to help him be who he needs to be. Then you talk about Lamar Jackson. What will he turn into? Kyler Murray. Okay, we need you to evolve. Russell Wilson, we saw him evolve as a passer early on in his career. So, the fact of the matter is we could talk and we can opine and do all these things. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to general managers who are signing those checks, coaches who are getting you there, you need to evolve or die. You can get into the league scrambling, running, doing your thing, no matter if you're white, black, or whatever, but you need to evolve into a pocket passer if you're on that. Ryan Fitzpatrick's still playing, right?
Correct.
Like Colt McCoy's still backing up. Chase Daniel's still back. Like, if you want to play in the NFL, mind you, there's more, but if you want, you have to evolve.
Look at what Bill Belichick's doing. That's what he's essentially going back to.
Correct. And one thing we got to understand, and one thing that all three of us know, Father Time gets the best of all of us at some point.
It's coming.
Me. It got me.
Yeah, except Tom
It's
Brady.
coming.
But everybody else, yeah, it does
Tom
happen.
Brady's accepted.
All right, fellas. One of the guys says Coach Nagy better hurry up and start Justin Fields, while the other says the Bears are going to win 11-plus games regardless. What? Okay, who said that? NFL execs were asked to rank the AFC's top 10 teams heading into this season, and let's just say one or two. To Bears fans' dismay, the rookie Justin Fields, who showed promise during the preseason, will not get the nod week one when Chicago travels to L.A. The veteran Andy Dalton, who signed a one-year deal with Chicago, who's on his third team in 3 years and went 4-5, stepping in for Dak Prescott last season, will be the guy. After back-to-back 8-8 campaigns in the Shy, many think Coach Matt Nagy and GM Ryan Pace should be feeling the heat to win now if they hope to return to the Windy City next season. Regardless of the pressure, Pace, he's confident in their quarterback choice. Take a listen.
I just feel like we're just in a good position with Andy. You know, it starts with how we feel about Andy, and we're very confident in him and where he's at. So there's no need for us to rush Justin. Playing quarterback in the NFL, there's so much that goes into that, you know, and so much different than you'd even see in the preseason. Just the weekly preparation, seeing NFL defenses in the regular season, and all those things. And I just think the more time he has to learn that and observe that, the better off for him.
Swagoo, you're up first. Do you think the Bears are making a mistake? Oh, go ahead.
You ready?
You got this. You're ready. You're ready. No, you go.
Yeah, I do, because we've been talking about this. That's why we need this game to come on Thursday so we can talk about something actually happening. But the bottom line is this, man. Everybody knows that I'm on the train of Justin Fields starting, okay? And I get all of it. It's rational what people say about why he shouldn't start. He needs time. He needs to develop all of that. Ryan Pace even alluded to it, which makes me actually feel a little better about what he said, because I think he's alluding to, and Harry and Acho, y'all help me out, is that they don't feel Justin Fields is completely ready to operate. We know from an athletic standpoint, from a talent standpoint, it's not even close. Him and Andy Dalton not even in the same realm. But what I just finished talking about with quarterbacks, especially young guys, maybe he's not there yet. He just didn't show me that outside of one blitz that hit him and not seeing that come. But I feel like that's Matt Nagy's job as well, to make sure he's prepared in this offensive line. But I'll go here with this. Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy and everybody keep talking about their job. You ain't got to worry about your job if you think Andy Dalton going to start for you the rest of the season, because you're going to be looking for another job. You're going to be in Cancun on a boat waiting on somebody to call you to come be a coordinator, or in Ryan Pace, in Ryan Pace way, you might not have a job until somebody looking for a GM that could manage something better than you've done in Chicago. Remember, this is the same team that went up and took a quarterback before all of the guys. I'm not going to mention it because I know it's a painstaking situation for Chicago Bears fan. This is the same guy that started out with Mitchell Trubisky going 12-4 and going to the playoffs, and then his quarterback suddenly forgot how to play football. And now you had to go out and get Nick Foles, and you had to bring in Andy Dalton now to bring this team to where they are. And everybody keeps talking about Andy Dalton, and it wasn't an ideal situation when he was in Dallas. Hell no, it wasn't. It wasn't an ideal situation for any quarterback. But you know what else? And Cincinnati ain't want him no more. There's a reason why a franchise quarterback gets the boot and other people come in and say, we going to progress and go further because he can't take us there. But I'm going to let Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy sell all of these wolf tickets to Sam Acho and Chicago Bears fans about what Andy Dalton can do. Until Andy Dalton goes out here and figures out how to play football at a high enough level for the Chicago Bears, because when you look at the damn schedule, you're going to have to play high-level football in order to try to make the playoffs this year. I'm going to just sit back and watch and hope that soon it'll be Justin Fields, and then I will say the Chicago Bears got a chance to go to the playoffs.
Yeah, but Swagoo, here's the issue. No one in Chicago is expecting or hoping that Andy Dalton is something that he wasn't or has ever been. People in Chicago want Andy Dalton to be Andy Dalton. Why? Because last year, we talked about it, the Bears were 8-8. Last year, the Bears lost 5 or 6 in a row. Last year, the Bears found a way to make the playoffs, right? Last year, with Mitch Trubisky and with Nick Foles. And Nick Foles wasn't playing very well last year. So you go in this offseason, you go get Andy Dalton, you pay him, which really has not much to do with it, because if your job's are on the line, it don't matter how much somebody else is getting paid. I want to do whatever is best for my job and my team. But you go out, you get Andy Dalton, you say this is an upgrade. You go, you hire a defensive coordinator who's from within, who's going to bring back your system from 2-3 years ago. You say this is an upgrade. This can take us not even just to the first round of the playoffs, but maybe more. And then you go and you get Justin Fields. Trade up to 11 to get Justin Fields. You say, oh, wow, this could be a major upgrade. This could be an extreme upgrade. This could be even better than what we thought that we had with Andy Dalton. We're not saying Andy Dalton's going to be a superhero. Yes, he had 3 Pro Bowls. Let's not forget about that. Yes, he took the Cincinnati Bengals, a bad Cincinnati Bengals team, to the playoffs year after year, after a team with no talent, year after year after year. So no one is saying that Andy Dalton, not a lot of talent, minimal talent.
Who's Mazada, Chad Johnson, Geno Atkins? The Bengals had players.
But the depth ain't there.
We can go through there. We can go through. Go ahead.
For sure. Yeah. So no one is saying that Andy Dalton needs to come in and take this team from horrible to amazing. But the team wasn't horrible last year. This team beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year. And yes, they lost some games, some close games that they probably should have won. But this team didn't need a huge upgrade at quarterback to get a little bit further in the playoffs. But now they have a guy that they can go to when he is ready.
All right, Marcus and Sam. Both of you guys play defense, right? Both of you guys play defense in the National Football League. All right, let's imagine both of you guys are on the defense.
I don't like answering rhetorical questions. It's a setup.
Both of you guys play defense,
tight end in
right?
high school
so you guys, just imagine you guys are on the Chicago Bears defense right now, and you're in that locker room. Marcus, who you want to be your quarterback right now to give you a chance to win a football game? Who you want to be your quarterback? Acho, who you want to be your quarterback? Just answer the question, Acho. Who do you want to be your quarterback to give you a chance to win a football game?
Right now, Andy Dalton.
Oh,
right now. In week 1, the game hasn't started yet. No games yet. Right now.
So
100%.
You say that. I'm gonna ask you, what was you drinking before you came on this show? Because clearly it wasn't water or it wasn't orange juice. It might have been that hen doggy dog.
He done changed his damn suit and everything, Eric.
Everything. Because if you want Andy Dalton to be your quarterback, you are out of your mind. And I'm going to tell you from a player's perspective, if I'm in that locker room, whether I play offense, whether I play defense, whether I play special teams, if a coach is going to come in and give somebody a starting job just because he's been in the league for a long time and hasn't proved anything to the rest of the team, then I have an issue with that. We had this thing in Tennessee called a leadership council. We had a thing called a leadership council, and I was on that leadership council. And I promise you this, if I was in Chicago, I would have been the first person to go holler at Matt Nagy, Ryan Pace, I don't care whoever else. They go tell them and ask them, I want them to tell me in my face that Justin Fields is not the best product to help us win football games. Because he is the best product, and everybody talk about the offensive line. So you want Andy Dalton, so you want him to be the crash dummy. And for some reason, I think Andy Dalton should have an issue with being a crash dummy. He should go to management. He should go to the coaches and be like, listen, guys, we have O-line problems. And y'all want me to sit back here and not be mobile and take these hits from these teams. Pay the Rams the first game of the year.
Harry, let me tell you why. This is the logic that people say, well, Andy Dalton know where the blitz coming from, and he could guide the O-line where they going. It don't make a damn difference if you can't block them and you can't run away from them.
Listen,
and Andy Dalton can call out every blitz that's ever coming for the Chicago Bears. He's still going to get knocked in the head.
The game duck, goose, and Andy Dalton going to be the duck.
You're wrong to that. Wait. Hold up. I love talking about Andy Dalton and Duck Goose, really bringing me back. But Acho, I hear you have a very bold prediction, Mr. Chicago. Let's go. Yeah,
well, real quick. So the leadership thing, like I played for the Chicago Bears. I played for Matt Nagy. I was on that leadership council. So I understand what it's like to be on a leadership council, but also to trust the process, to trust your coaches. My bold prediction, my belief is this: the Chicago Bears will win 11 games this year. The Chicago Bears will make the playoffs this year. The Chicago Bears will win a playoff game this year. And it's not only going to be because of Andy Dalton. It's because Justin Fields will get in the game. Like, y'all are sleeping. I'm not sitting here and saying the first 4 games. Justin Fields.
Wait. What? Tell us what you're trying to do here.
Listen. So I'm not sitting here saying, okay, first 4 games, Andy Dalton plays, and then Justin Fields comes in against Green Bay and San Francisco and Tampa Bay. No, but what I'm saying is this. Y'all all played football. Y'all all, whether offense or defense, even watching home, we watch football. What people don't know, there are things called game plans, right? So if you go, and I believe that the Bears can win 6 games out of their first 9 before that bye week. If you go with Andy Dalton and that defense and go 6-3, at worst 5-4, the bye week comes. All of a sudden, you have 2 weeks to prepare. Your quarterback has sit and watched and seen and learned how to prepare his body, prepare his mind, and got ready. All of a sudden, you're sitting at 6-3, your bye week in week 10. All of a sudden, you come in, you bring a new quarterback, and all of a sudden, that quarterback takes you to the promised land. We saw it in 2012, and I saw it personally. Forget we. I'm not talking about we anymore. I saw it personally firsthand in 2012 when I was playing for the Arizona Cardinals, and there was this team in San Francisco with this quarterback named Alex Smith. Dominant defense. Alex Smith, pretty solid, but nothing extraordinary. All of a sudden, halfway through the season, who was this Colin Kaepernick dude coming in the game? We came in the same draft class. Didn't know about him. All of a sudden, they go into the Super Bowl. So it's a formula that has been done before. People can game plan for if you've seen someone before. But if you let Andy Dalton do what he needs to do, not Superman, lean on the defense, lean on the running game. You go. You got Cincinnati in the first couple weeks. You got the Raiders in the first couple weeks. Yes, and then Andy Dalton can go. And you beat Tampa Bay last year without Andy Dalton. All of a sudden, after 9 weeks, week 10, you have a bye week, and you bring in your quarterback of the future, Justin Fields, and you go make a playoff run, 11 wins, playoff win.
Ooh, listen, I tell you this. I do believe the Bears can make the playoffs, but if Justin Fields is their quarterback, because you just mentioned the first 9 games, but let me mention to you who they play the first 7 out of the first 10 games.
Okay.
These defenses, they play the Rams, they play the Browns, they play Green Bay, who have pass rushers, they play Tampa, they play the 49ers, they play Pittsburgh, and they play Baltimore. All teams who rush the passer very efficiently. So Andy Dalton, I'm guessing, because you say he's going to start for 9 weeks, going to be sore as hell in that training room, hoping that he can praying that Justin Fields could come in and take over. After that gauntlet, he got to go through.
Marcus with the stank face the whole time.
Harry, listen. I thought this man was looking at the damn 2022-2023 schedule. Because I was looking at that schedule like, where you see 11 wins at on this schedule based on what we know about the Chicago Bears right now. Everybody optimistic, Acho. I think the Dallas Cowboys can win 10 games. But I'm optimistic. I ain't crazy now. They got people on their schedule that is going to stand in the way based on what their deficiencies are. And the deficiencies for the Chicago Bears is their offense. No, it doesn't mean they don't have talent. They had a 1,000-yard rusher last year. Allen Robinson, to me, is a clear 1 in the NFL. The quarterback spot will be the determining factor in if they make the playoffs. But 11 wins is a little bit of a stretch, my guy, because
especially
when you look at the rest of
Dalton.
these teams who are Listen. I'm so glad he said Justin Fields will be in there, because now I can start thinking about, okay, how can they game plan and possibly get by a couple of these teams? Because he's right. The defense is great. But if we working on the notion that Andy Dalton going to lead them to 11 wins, or even the first 9 games, they better hurry the hell up and get Justin Fields in this game and get him ready to play if that's going to be any type of a dream for the Chicago Bears. And let me say this too. The San Francisco 49ers, the Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings are going to be improved in their own division. We know what Tampa is. They start off with the Rams with Matt Stafford. Bro, I don't know how much time Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy think they have to get Justin Fields ready, which they should have been doing since the day they drafted him, and he's not ready at this point. But the bottom line is 11 wins is a stretch, my guy. Yeah. It's a stretch, my guy.
Yeah, and the O-line's concerning as well. All right, they're projected to finish 3rd in their division, and according to Vegas, miss the playoffs, but not according to Sam Acho. Nashville knows how to party, but will they make it to the big dance this season? One of the fellas has high hopes for those Titans. What is the ceiling? Plus, Tom Brady and greatness. Obviously, here's how it shook out. No shock. But the Chiefs took the top spot with last year's runner-up Bills at 2. The Ravens, Browns, and Colts round out the top 5. Harry up first. Who is too low on this list, Mr. Douglas?
Molly, I have to go with the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans should not be 7. First of all, the coach shouldn't even be 5. That That right there is crazy to me. The Colts being 5, and we don't even know what Carson Wentz is going to even be this year from the quarterback position. We don't know what his mental is. Every time we look around, there's a headline about Carson Wentz. He's out. He's on the COVID list. He's losing his starting job in Philly. So I don't think the Colts should be 5. But the Tennessee Titans, for me, are a team. And when you look at the Titans, I love what they did in free agency. I love what they did in the draft. In free agency, well, they made a trade for Julio Jones. I think that was huge. You have Derrick Henry. You have that running game. Now you have A.J. Brown, a guy who had over 1,000 yards last year. Now you compare those guys up. Now defensive coordinators are going to have to figure out how they're going to game plan to stop this offense. Now, when you look at the defensive side, I love that they brought in Bud Dupree. I love that they went and got Danico Autry from the Colts. I love what they did bringing in Janoris Jack Rabbit Jenkins in the secondary. Then they drafted Caleb Farley. Then they drafted a guy that I love in the slot, and Elijah Molden, a guy who's tough. He played at Washington. He played in the slot majority, but he's tough. He can get around the football. He can create turnovers. He can tackle very well. I love Jeffrey Simmons on that defensive line. I love Harold Landry, Rashad Evans, Jayon Brown, and they have a hybrid safety in Kevin Byard. So I like the Titans. The Titans should be up.
Yeah, for me, this is simple. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9. Like, when did Pittsburgh become bad? Like when did that happen? Like, somebody, like, riddle me this. Like, when did that happen? The Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin hadn't had a losing season in his entire career. Pittsburgh is still a dominant team. Pittsburgh still went to the playoffs. Yes, they lost at the tail end. But when did the Steelers become bad to be ranked number 9 behind teams like the LA Chargers, to be ranked number 9 behind teams like the Indianapolis Colts? The Pittsburgh Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger, a healthy Ben Roethlisberger, are still a force to be reckoned with. So, like, when you watch football, you say, yes, Pittsburgh Steelers, that's football. Like, I don't care about, like, rankings and ratings and all those things. They know how to play football in Pittsburgh. They know how to play defense in Pittsburgh. They got Ben Roethlisberger, Super Bowl champion in Pittsburgh. They drafted Najee Harris, could be Rookie of the Year in Pittsburgh. And so, yes, Cleveland wins. People say Cleveland's going to win the division. Baltimore's got Lamar Jackson. But the Pittsburgh Steelers with Mike Tomlin are the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are synonymous. They are equivalent with football. When football's played, you don't think about the Colts. You don't think about the Chargers. You think about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, that's a football team that should be ranked way higher than number 9. Not even in the NFL. They're talking about the AFC. Like, that's entirely and absolutely and positively way too low.
Well, I'll go for me. If we got to predict things, and I'm going to go with a bold prediction right here, Acho. I'm gonna predict that the Tennessee Titans make the Super Bowl. That's gonna be my bold prediction.
You didn't sell that enough.
Which
I don't have to sell it, Molly. I just told you.
Like,
no, I mean, you
they got Julio Jones.
This is you.
Got Derrick Henry.
No. Hold up. But you didn't say it with confidence. You're like,
I ain't saying.
Like,
let him start over. Let him start over.
Wait,
you want me to say it with my chest, Molly?
Say it with your chest.
Because you're like, I got a bold prediction. The Tennessee Titans are going to the Super Bowl.
Let me look into this camera right here. Put me on my one screen. Damn it. The Tennessee Titans, I'm predicting, going to go to the Super Bowl this year. Now, if that's good enough for y'all, now react, Acho.
I just got a question.
There we go. Clip that for Instagram.
So what happened to Patrick Mahomes?
No, he's still there.
Like, what happened to Tyrann Mathieu in that defense, too?
He's still there.
So how are they getting the Super Bowl? They're playing the same division.
He's there. I mean,
so explain.
Last time I checked, before last, the Titans beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season. I remember them beating them.
Okay, so but in the playoffs,
okay,
like what happened?
Expound on it. Talk about
the last time I checked, the Tennessee Titans has a roster to make a Super Bowl run. If they put everything together, they have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl in Tennessee. I don't know why you laugh.
I'm not believing anything that's coming out. Do you believe the words coming out of my mouth?
You don't have to believe it.
I believe it.
You don't have to believe it, but I'm going to tell it to you.
You said last time I checked, you said if everything goes well.
Last time that I checked.
Like on a 5 o'clock on a Sunday and the light's right and I got my little filter on, then if I put my glasses on and I squint and then all of a sudden, it's still going to be Kansas City. It's still going to be Pat Mahomes. Like, there needs to be no filters, no questions, no frustrations, no opining.
Patrick Mahomes. A prediction for a reason.
They also have a great coach. You could have mentioned that.
Yeah.
It's called a prediction for a reason. Yeah. You predict things.
They said
it's called a prediction for a reason. You predict things.
Harry,
we're going to have to we got to go to the definition of prediction. We're talking about a prediction.
They said bold predictions, not bad predictions. That's a very bad prediction.
So you don't think the Tennessee Titans have an opportunity? You must have forgot in 2019 the Tennessee Titans went to the AFC Championship game. Did you forget that? Did you forget the Tennessee Titans went to the playoffs last year? They lost to Baltimore. 2 or 3 plays in that game, the Tennessee Titans are moving on. Did you forget about that?
Two words.
Did you forget that they have Derrick Henry that led the lead in rushing 2 years in a row? Did you forget they got A.J. Brown? Did you forget about Julio Jones? Did you forget about those guys? Because it looked like to me you did. But I'm here to let you know, don't forget about those guys, because if they have the opportunity, they're going to shine.
Harry, my memory serves me just fine. Yours may be a little bit, shaky at the moment because you're asking if I've forgotten about people. And we already talked about the first team that I haven't forgotten about. But have you forgotten about the Buffalo Bills? Have you forgotten about Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs?
You talking about the Buffalo Bills?
Have you forgotten?
You must have forgot that last year when both of the teams played each other and being undefeated, that the Tennessee Titans not only beat the Buffalo Bills, they stomped the Buffalo Bills. So make sure you check your facts.
And then where did the Tennessee Titans end up? At home like you and me. They was at home with you and with me. And Kansas City and Pat Mahomes.
And so did the Buffalo Bills. They was at home too.
Yeah, we ain't talking about Buffalo. We're talking about Kansas City. We're talking about Tennessee not making it.
Well, you're talking about the greatest quarterback of all time. It's bold predictions. I predict that they can go to the Super Bowl.
I'm just happy you got your energy up. Now you're really selling things. All right. Harry Douglas looking into his crystal ball again. It's called a prediction.
Hey.
Shocker alert. He's seeing big things for Patrick Mahomes this season. How big are we talking? More bold takes, gentlemen. And speaking of bold takes, everyone seems to be fast asleep on Zeke. Will the Cowboys star running back return to form this season? We'll get into our biggest storylines next. And I don't think Stephen A. Smith liked that Michael Irvin was talking about his funeral. So Stephen A. is about to call in. By the way, he's back on Monday, all like back. Stephen A. Smith recovering from surgery. Mr. Smith, what's going on?
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Good morning to y'all. Good morning to you, Harry. Good morning to you, Sam. Let me tell y'all something right now. I got something on my mind real quick, and I just want to say this, and I'm going to let you go back to that show, okay? I saw that damn Michael Irvin just now with that promo. I got a problem already with the folks creating the promo for First Take with him. Why is he more of a dominant presence? Like he gonna come on First Take and do something. He's not gonna do a damn thing. He's gonna be just as impotent, just as pathetic, just as moribund as his Cowboys, okay? And that damn nauseating fan base. They are all going down. And I want you to understand something right now, here and now, for America to embrace. It's the dawning of a new day, a new age. I give him that. He got that right because it absolutely positively is. He ain't the only one going down. Marcus Spears is going down. Ryan Clark is going down. Dan Orlovsky's going down. Tim Tebow's going down. Everybody that stands in my path on that show is
Tim
going
Tebow
down.
is your friend.
And that includes, he is my friend, but damn it, that ain't the point. The point is this. In the end, we've been living with a lot of people in the world of athletics, in the world of entertainment. Everybody acting like they want to sit in that seat and go up against your boy. Well, guess what? You're going to get your opportunity because I'm taking on all comers. And Michael Irvin will be my first victim. Come Monday, September 6th, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the ESPN network. This brother is going down. I don't even know why the NFL Network allowed him to subject himself to the kind of beatdown that he is about to endure on a weekly basis, and he will be the first of many, many victims. Like you said, I've had my surgery. I'm feeling good. I'm getting air in my nostrils. I'm feeling energized. I'm well rested. Every damn body is in a world of trouble. I will see y'all next week.
Not so fast. By the way, I heard Michael Irvin's in the weight room right now because one of your opponents is going to be Swagoo Marcus Spears, and he's just shaking his head at you. Marcus, you have something you want to say to Mr. Smith? Because he's really talking that talk right now with his chest out. I don't know how I feel about it.
He better watch his mouth, and he
know me
too.
You know me too damn well for you to mention my name and me not say nothing. So I will see you weekly. All right. And I don't know if that surgery got you feeling like somebody put a battery in your back, but you're going to need another one when I pull that battery out of your back on Wednesdays when we on First Take. Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. You and Mike, you and Tebow, you and Orlovsky, Rad Clark. It's a different type of smoke when you know I'm about to show up on that screen. So since I'm here to represent myself today, while you talking all loud, I'll see you next week.
This is what he does. This is what Marcus Spears does. He huffs and he puffs, but he doesn't blow anybody's house down, okay? It's all the hobbies that don't signify a damn thing. Going down, everybody's going down.
Oh, my God.
Anybody that think they ready and they ready to go up against me, that chair right there, I will be there. I will be there, day in, day out, mowing down one person after another, after another. The assault, the onslaught, Sunday at 10 a.m. I will see y'all there.
Look, he can't.
Stephen A's got his lawnmower ready. He's going to be plowing people down. We get it. Yep.
All that money he making and his damn phone won't even stop breaking up while he trying to talk noise over the phone. He keep going. I'm trying to get done with TV today so I can listen to the rest of Drake album, and he gonna call in talking about he gonna dominate somebody. We gonna make sure that battery get pulled out your back when next week comes. I can't wait to see you, big fella.
I'm in my bunker. I'm in my bunker, big boy.
Oh my goodness.
Get ready.
Okay, let me say this. I am very excited for this new era, this re-enthused, hype Stephen A. Smith. It is going to be intense. I'm here for all the passion. I love it. But I'm just going to ask everyone at home. I feel like I need prayer. And I feel like everyone at home knows
you do, Molly.
I'm going to need prayer, and I need it from all of you. Because I feel like I'm going to be losing all control with these folks. So please, I
got you. I got you.
From everyone at home.
They never came up against me.
Oh, my God. Stephen A., rest your voice before you need another surgery. Okay? Goodbye. Great chatting with you. Such a sweetheart.
Put up that little burner phone you got. Call from a real phone next time.
He's saying burner phone.
Let's do our debate here now. Okay, guys, we're 6 days away from the NFL starting season, and two favorites to win the title are Kansas City, Tampa Bay. They're the only two teams at 10-1 or better, and there's a couple teams from the NFC West that are at 14-1. Obviously, strong conference there. The Rams and the Niners. It feels hard for me to just transition after that. I feel like I need a moment to just decompress, but I don't have time for it. So we'll just go right into it, because that was a lot, so I don't get to process it. Acho, what's the biggest storyline of the season for you?
Yeah, well, the biggest storyline is, we talked about it yesterday, it's Tom Brady going to win 8. Like, if he goes and he wins 8, that's a huge story in the NFL. We talked about great coaches like Nick Saban. You talk about Bill Belichick. Talk about even the Michael Jordans of the world. And now all of a sudden, Tom Brady, 7 rings, Mr. 7 rings. He goes and gets 8. He's still only 44, 45. He can still play. That Tampa Bay roster is loaded. BA, Bruce Arians, knows how to coach football, as does Todd Bowles, as does Byron Leftwich. Now all of a sudden, you got 8 rings, and you're still young and still got a couple years on your contract. That's a huge story in the NFL.
Ooh, Acho, for me, it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes getting revenge. They remember what happened against that guy you just talked about, Tom Brady. They remember what happened last year. They just revamped their offensive line. Patrick Mahomes this season was talking about going 17-0 in the regular season. So I think Patrick Mahomes, even though he might not say this, and the Kansas City Chiefs are out for revenge on Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, listen, fellas, that's 2 great storylines, but the one I'm focused on is Zeke Elliott going to return to a top 3 back in this league? Because if Dallas is going to do anything, he's going to have to be that type of guy. And when you look at the situation that he was in last year, as far as fumbles and having to go through a rotating offensive line and not being in a situation conducive to him having success, Zeke Elliott had a lot of fault in that by giving the ball away. Still went for 979 yards rushing, but I don't judge Zeke Elliott on if he can rush for 1,000 yards. I think he can do that in his sleep, fellas. I think a bad season for Zeke Elliott is to hover around right at 1,000 yards. I am waiting to see if we start talking about 21, like we talked about him early in his career, at being one of the top guys that can be a catalyst for being a bell cow, taking a team to a championship. That's one of my storylines. That's the biggest one to me personally.
Guys, one for me personally, I want to throw this in here. It's Bill Belichick on his redemption tour. I think he's going to go scorched earth, seeing Tom Brady win the Super Bowl. We had Asante Samuel on the other day saying that it was all Brady. I think Belichick's legacy is on the line to an extent, and that's what I'm going to be watching more so than anything, is how these Patriots and Mac Jones play. All right, we're going to break
Molly
here.
won, y'all.
Yeah.
Molly won. We supposed to know football, but Molly won.
Thank you. I mean, that's what I'm hyped about. All right, guys. Jimmy's got the experience, but Trey Lance has all the mojo right now. So which of the 49ers quarterbacks gives San Fran the best chance to get to the Super Bowl? Third overall out of North Dakota State. He opted out of the spring football season and played just one game last year. Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo both played well in the preseason. Lance had 4 touchdowns, including a rushing score, and had an 80-yard TD pass against the Chiefs. But it begs this question, which guy will be the starter come week 1, and will they actually rotate during a game? Here's Kyle Shanahan on their roster moves.
Is your punt returner right now on your 53-man?
I believe so, yeah. We'll see.
Same time you announce the quarterback?
I don't need to announce the quarterback. I don't think I need to announce the starting punt returner either, but I bet you guys can figure it out.
So still no official starter named in San Francisco. Really high hopes for this team, obviously, Harry. Who do you think gives them the best chance to win the Super Bowl?
I think the best chance to win the Super Bowl for me, Molly, is a no-brainer. It is Trey Lance. And I think it's because what he brings to the game of football that Jimmy Garoppolo can't, right? He's a dual-threat guy. He can do it with his legs. We've seen in the preseason, that last preseason game, when he's running that read, that zone read, and you have all those moving parts to that offense going all kind of which ways they want to go. We've seen how dynamic that offense can be. Now, when you look at Trey Lance and you look at John Lynch and you look at Kyle Shanahan, I respect the hell out of John Lynch. I respect the hell out of Kyle Shanahan as a play caller, as a head coach, as an offensive coordinator. There's a reason why they traded up to number 3 in the draft to draft Trey Lance. If you felt like Jimmy Garoppolo was your guy to win you a Super Bowl, then I don't think you would have went up to number 3. You wouldn't have traded up to number 3 to go get a guy like Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is the guy that's going to propel them, to get them over the hump to actually win a Super Bowl and bring another one to the city of San Francisco.
Yeah, I think we're all forgetting San Francisco was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they haven't gotten worse. They haven't gotten worse. All they were last year, they were injured, right? Nick Bosa now is healthy. George Kittle now is healthy. Jimmy G now is healthy. Talk about all the weapons offensively and defensively. Eric Armstead as well. So this team literally just did it 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden there's a young, flashy superstar quarterback that's going to take them over the hump. They were at the hump. Now they're healthy. They can do it again. And so for me, it's not a no-brainer. It's a full, complete brainer. It's got to be Jimmy Garoppolo. He did it just 300, 400, 600, how many days ago? Not long ago.
It'd be different for me, though, Sam, if it wasn't Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, who played in this league for a long time. The fact that they traded up, knowing that they just went to a Super Bowl, right? Knowing they just did that with Jimmy Garoppolo, but Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't make that throw to win them the game, though.
Yeah,
you know
absolutely.
What I mean? He couldn't have made that throw. But I'm telling you, Trey Lance gives them the best opportunity to improvise and do things. And I'm not worried about them offensively. They have one of the best play callers in the game right now with Kyle Shanahan. So I know he's going to protect Trey Lance because he does have a little bit more he needs to learn. But I think Kyle Shanahan can protect him and get him through enough games to propel them down the season so they can actually have a chance to compete for a Super Bowl. Yeah,
well, part of the reason that you go and trade up early in the draft to get a quarterback, one could be because your other quarterback had some injury issues. So that's the reason. He's a safety valve, a safety blanket.
And people haven't mentioned that enough.
Well, he's not a safety. First of all, you don't trade up to number 3 to draft a guy like Trey Lance to be a safety.
No, you're right, but
you don't do that.
But Jimmy Graham has missed games throughout his career, dating all the way back to Jimmy Garoppolo. Dating all the way back to when he was with the Patriots.
Correct. And when you have a Super Bowl ready team like San Francisco is a Super Bowl, that's one of those 4 or 5 teams that we talk about that could actually make it every year.
Yeah.
You have a Super Bowl ready team. You cannot risk injury at the most vital position, which is quarterback. So you trade up. You look at the landscape, you see what you need to do. If your quarterback's not healthy, all of a sudden you got another guy who can be healthy. You got 2 guys who can do it. We saw it in the last preseason game. But if you want to talk about who can do it, who can take him to the Super Bowl, Jimmy G literally just did it. So maybe that one throw you talked about, maybe that one throw changes everything. But another year, 2 in the system, more weapons, offensively, defensively. there's no question that Jimmy G can do it. There are questions with Trey Lance.
But you are right. Jimmy G took him to the Super Bowl. You draft Trey Lance so you can win the Super Bowl. There's the biggest difference right there.
Oh, drop the mic. Let's go. All right, that decade-long contract for John Gruden hasn't exactly paid off yet for Las Vegas, fair to say, but is Derek Carr actually the reason for the Raiders? And continuing to get praise, the latest from former Cowboys quarterback and analyst extraordinaire Tony Romo, who said this: I think Zach Wilson is going to be in the discussion as one of the top 3 to 5 quarterbacks in the league very quickly. Within the next couple of years, I think you're going to see him rise. I think he's unbelievable. His ceiling is so high. It's rare for me to say that someone has the ability to get in the stratosphere of Patrick Mahomes, but I think this kid actually has that ability. I need to marinate on that, and I need to repeat it one more time. The stratosphere, we're talking Patrick Mahomes, Tony. Okay, now that's a bold take. I'll give it to you, Mr. Romo. Marcus, you had an interesting thought about Zach Wilson, too. Tell me what you think of him.
Yeah. I don't see it Mahomes. I think Mahomes is once in a generation type performer, but in 2 years, he'll be as good as Josh Allen. The last Josh Allen we saw last year. I firmly believe that. And it's not about playing in the preseason. It's not about all of the extenuating circumstances. This dude has the poise. I look for traits, right? The things that we talk about with these dudes coming out of college, does it translate? When you watch Zach Wilson play, the arm and the live ability and how he looks just from the pocket, and if you watch football, it looks a lot like Aaron Rodgers. It looks a lot like that. I'm not talking about like, oh, you can see a few things that he does that's similar to Aaron. A lot of Zach Wilson this preseason looks a lot like Aaron Rodgers. And the reason why I bring up Josh Allen is because obviously those guys being in the same division, and you love the fact that you're going to have this competitive nature going between quarterbacks who I think are going to send to top 5, top 10 guys here in the near future. Josh Allen already being one of those guys based off what he did last year. Mac Jones is also in that division. Tua is in that division. But when I watch Zach Wilson this offseason and this preseason, and just looking at him, I wasn't thinking about the extenuating circumstances, wasn't thinking about the defenses that were out there, the way he operates and manipulates the pocket, and the things when the ball comes out of his hand, what it looks like and what it reminds me of is things that I've seen from Aaron Rodgers. I ain't saying he gonna be Aaron Rodgers, but what I am saying is when I look at everything the Jets are doing, and I got to give the Jets some love. You bring in Robert Salah, you bring in Mike LaFleur, who's going to be running a very similar situation to what his brother is doing in Green Bay, and you think about the offensive line and how they are constructing this to protect their draft pick. Zach Wilson will be in this conversation. Mark it again for a top 5, top 7 QB in this league in the very near future.
Yeah. See, we got to stop comparing people to Patrick Mahomes. Like, this is Patrick Mahomes. We ain't talking about, like, Patrick Apartments or Patrick Townhouse or Macondo. This is Mahomes. Like, this is a $500 million Mahomes. This is Super Bowl MVP Mahomes. This is the best quarterback in the NFL Mahomes. So you talk about a Patrick Mahomes, that's a different conversation, a different hemisphere, a different stratosphere. Now, when you go to the Josh Allens, now we can have a conversation. Josh Allen was up and down early in his career. Then you got a coach like Brian Daboll, a brilliant offensive mind. It was in New England. He was in Alabama. He was building this thing, and all of a sudden he brings it. And what I saw in Buffalo, because I spent a little bit of time in Buffalo in my NFL career, I saw him use Josh Allen's strengths and not worry about his weaknesses. And what I mean by that is simple. When they played New England a couple years ago, they put everything in empty, right? Expose the defense. Josh Allen, quick pass, be comfortable. When I was practicing with the Buffalo Bills, they did this drill, which I'd never seen before. They know that Josh Allen is big and strong and fast and loves to run around. They would do this drill. They have the offensive lineman just block for him for about 10, 12 seconds. The receivers continue running routes. Every single day they did this rollout drill specifically for Josh Allen. So instead of looking at Josh Allen's weaknesses, they had a coach, a coordinator in Brian Daboll that said, we're going to use every single one of your strengths. My issue with the Jets is this. Will Mike LaFleur, and maybe he will, the jury's still out, will Mike LaFleur find the Jets' strengths and use them? Will he find Zach Wilson's strengths and use them? The running attack, you talk about being north and south. Will he use them? Kansas City is a completely different animal. I mean, Andy Reid is one of the best coaches. Even when he was leaving Philly, he was one of the best coaches. They got weapons. Tyreek Hill, proven weapons. They have Tyrann Mathieu on the defensive side. Proven weapons, proven leaders on that team. So there's a difference there when you talk about the stratospheres and hemispheres and phenomenal quarterbacks.
And I agree with you guys when it comes to Zach Wilson. When you look at Zach Wilson, I was high on Zach Wilson when a lot of people were making those little comments about him jumping Justin Fields early on in the draft process. I watched his film, and I'm going to give y'all some of my notes that I had on Zach Wilson. Great decision maker, can make every throw, reminds me of Aaron Rodgers, takes control at the line of scrimmage. He's mobile. He has that it factor, and he makes something out of nothing. Now, you take those intangibles, Marcus and Sam, that we've seen in the preseason that we know Zach Wilson has, and you pair it up with a head coach like Robert Saleh, right, who I think is going to be a great head coach. You pair it up with a guy like Mike LaFleur, who comes from that Shanahan tree. I got to remind everybody, Mike LaFleur comes from that Shanahan tree, right? So he's going to scheme everything up to Zach Wilson's strength so he can have production in this league. But I actually like what they got around him. You went out there and got a number one in Corey Davis, who has become his favorite target.
Yes.
You still have Jamison Crowder. You have Elijah Moore, who you haven't even seen him yet. So just wait till he start doing those jet motions, and now the defense got to focus their eyes on things going east and west to confuse them. And not only that, I want y'all to look at another tight end that they have from Ole Miss. I think his name is Eboa. I think they got him. I think he's an athletic tight end that they can use down the line, who's going to make some noise in this league. But when it comes to Zach Wilson, he has it. I think his persona, everything about Zach Wilson is made for New York, and I don't think New York is going to rattle Zach Wilson one bit.
Let me say this, too, because you made a great point, Harry, about what's happening around these guys and how you building. Dorsey drafted Patrick Mahomes. But Veach came in, obviously, the general manager for the Kansas City Chiefs, and he started to put this thing together. He started to figure out this dude's arm is unbelievable. All right, let's get a deep ball threat. Let's go get Tyreek Hill. Let's get Mecole Hardman. Let's surround him with speed. You had Travis Kelce, a phenomenal tight end. The offensive line you wanted to build. Last year, we saw Veach in the draft Hilaire, a running back, to give you that multiplicity that you need out of the backfield. Let's go to another place. Guy that we just finished talking about, Josh Allen. Daboll is responsible, but you also got to have a general manager with the foresight to say, hey, what do we need to do? They go out and get Stephon Diggs. They try to implement a run game. They get an offensive line that can protect their guy. It's so much more involved in your guy having success early when it comes to building and putting pieces around him. What did the Jets do? And I know, look, I hammered Joe Douglas because I was like, he in there with, I ain't going to even say his name, but y'all know who the coach was previous to Robert Saleh. And it wasn't the right situation. But the one thing Joe Douglas has done, he's addressed a lot of issues that the Jets had. And they are playing really good football in the trenches. Quentin Williams, obviously, it's heartbreaking what happened to D Ford. But if you look at this team, I want people to just pay attention, all right? And I ain't talking about the Jets going to go to the playoffs this year and win the Super Bowl, none of that. I want people to pay attention to what these franchises are doing to change the narrative. There is no better place to look than what they're doing in Cleveland with their quarterback and how they're building a roster from front to back. I believe the Jets are going to do that, man. Zach Wilson going to be set up for success, and this AFC going to be real interesting for years to come.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. And I think the example, yes, Cleveland could be an example, but Buffalo right there in that same division, as you mentioned, is the example. My issue is this, because we get excited about the Jets. Everyone loves talking about the Jets. The Jets. Will they be good? Will they be good? The problem is you got a team that did it in Buffalo that's still good. Right? Okay, right. Well, the problem is they're still good. Also, you got New England, who still has Bill Belichick, right? You got Miami, who everyone's like, man, Miami is the team to talk about. So even with all this good-sounding stuff that people are trying to convince me to believe about the Jets, I'm also looking at everybody else in their division and being like, oh, no, everyone else in their division is a problem as well. So if they don't hurry up and get it right all around Zach Wilson, until then, it'll just be chatter.
Well, I'll tell you what it is for me, fellas. For me, it's the foundation. Right? Like Marcus said, changing the narrative and building a solid foundation. And I think you have two guys, and I'm going to go with the defensive coordinator too. I think he's solid. He was in Atlanta last year, Coach Ubrick. You have 3 guys that you have in positions at head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, who is going to change the foundation of this team, who can relate to players, because we know the last guy that was in there, Marcus, like you said, we're not going to mention his name, couldn't relate to players, and players couldn't even go talk to him when it came to anything.
Dude.
You know what I mean? But when it comes to foundationally, I think they got it right. And they're doing the right things. And I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs this year and they're going to be even good this year.
Right.
I'm saying if you're looking at the upside, you're looking at the future, I think the Jets are in good hands right now.
Yeah.
Well, we just looking at a blueprint. That's all I'm doing. I'm looking at a blueprint of these franchises that them pulled themselves out of the mud and now are starting to make noise. And the Jets remind me, based on what they're doing from personnel, coaching, and players on the field, they're doing some of those same things. Bringing in Corey Davis was huge, y'all. That was they needed a one. They needed a wide receiver that could be a one.
They got a couple big injuries on defense, though. Yeah, that are going to hurt the season.
And that's my concern, Molly. That's why I say you may be a couple years away. But what they doing is in the same vein of a lot of these teams that sucked, and now we talking about them being Super Bowl contenders.
Listen, I haven't seen the same intensity from you guys about my New York Football Giants. So I guess I'm wearing – no, I'm not.
O-line.
Not too often you see someone give bulletin board material to Tom Brady. A Cowboys player takes a shot at the Bucs quarterback ahead of their Week 1 showdown. Plus – no O-line. You will not believe what Dennis Rodman had to say about Phil Jackson. Did the Zen Master really see the worm as better than Michael? Huge mistake, fellas. The rookie had this to say when asked about Tom Brady's weaknesses. He's not very mobile. I mean, he's been playing for 21 years. The dude is a little older, not too mobile. If you get him off of his spot, his passer rating really goes down by a lot. Never a good thing to poke the goat. Harry, what is your advice for Osa?
Well, first I say this, Molly. Is he wrong? No, he's not wrong. But the problem lies is that, first of all, Marcus, I want to know who is his vet on that D-line group, right? Or who is the media person in Dallas, because he needs to be trained. One rule that I had when I was a rook, we wasn't even allowed to talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't open your mouth. Your job is just to play and perform. But somebody needs to grab him and tell him, listen, every time somebody put a camera in your face, they really don't want to know about you at all. They trying to get clickbait. They trying to get things. They trying to bait you, man. And for this young man to come out here and say this and then try to go back and, polish it up a little bit, it's too late now. It's already out there. Do Tom Brady pay attention to that? Hell no, he don't. He's Tom Brady. He's going for 8 rings. He don't care about that at all. But the simple fact that young guys, y'all got to understand, in this league, your job is just to perform. Don't nobody really want to hear from y'all. Don't nobody want to hear from y'all. Because now you probably making it hell for everybody else on your defense. And I'm pretty sure Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy didn't. Come here. We gotta bring you to the principal's office. I'm pretty sure he in the principal's office trying to understand what he did wrong.
Harry, see, I was gonna be that guy, man. I was gonna be that guy, because you and I and Sam come from the same cloth. Like, in the league, man, shut up, don't say nothing. All right, just go play the game, earn your right to speak. All right, but they different, man. They growing up, they different. They just different. They growing up with IG and TikTok, social media, and I'm speaking as a dad of a 14-year-old. These folks saying anything now, and I don't want to be that old guy being like, be quiet and don't say nothing. But I'm gonna be that right now. Say, bro, this ain't it right here. This ain't it. This ain't it. This is not what you're supposed to do. Because, look, one thing I do disagree with you on, Harry. Tom Brady petty like that. He is definitely, he knows what was said. I guarantee, I learned this about Tom Brady. He will play humble. We had a conversation. He will play humble. Oh, guys want to play and they want to have success. No, he listening, bro. He internalizes all of this stuff, because if you watch at some point in this game, if Tom Brady is ripping this Cowboy defense, he gonna seek out the young fella and tell him, like, hey, fam, stay in your lane, earn some stripes before you get to talking like that. And then the second part of this is, too, when you look at last year alone, okay, Chase Young did this. Chase Young said the same thing. Leading into that game.
Who was really,
and this
really
don't
good.
mean Chase Young ain't great. Chase Young a great player. He's going to be a great player. Probably one of the best DNs to ever suit up in this league based on what we seeing right now. This ain't, like you said, bro, this ain't the bear you want to poke, man, because this, like, as everybody thinks about Tom Brady, oh, he above that and he got 7 rings. And man, Tom Brady petty. Tom Brady listen to all of this. Trust me, he has noted what has come out of this locker room with the young fella, man. Hey, but go do your thing, man. That don't mean you're going to play bad. That just means it's got a lot harder.
Yeah. The Bucks are sending thank you notes. They're happy about this.
Yeah, and I think the thing that people are forgetting is that Osa Odigizua has been alive for as long as Tom Brady's been playing football. Like, Tom Brady's been playing football in the NFL for the same time this season's been on. Like, he could be his son, Tom Brady, TB12. Come get your son. That's the first thing. Come get your son. Number one. Number two, because of Osa, you got the Nigerian. We get the Nigerian thing. I'm hit you with the Igbo accent. Mechanugi. That means shut up your mouth. Don't talk to Tom Brady like that. He's the GOAT, greatest of all time. Sit in your chair, go play football, and be okay.
This is phenomenal. This is
Can we do
phenomenal. That was phenomenal.
Can you just be in that accent the rest of the show?
Hey,
all right.
Get him, Macho. Get him, man.
Oh, my goodness. Okay,
Hey,
guys.
listen.
What?
The dude in me, though, is the dude in me for Osa is be like, hey, talk your talk, young fella. Do your thing. I'm learning, y'all. I'm learning to get up with this new generation. It's some foundational things that I'm never going to lose. But this new generation, they just say any damn thing. So go ahead with it. That don't mean the consequences ain't coming, though.
I don't know. 2 ears, 1 mouth for a reason. All right, guys, the Raiders. Can we talk about them? Because we don't pay attention to them enough. They haven't made the playoffs since 2016. Maybe that's why. But the expectations are high with GM Mike Mayock saying John Gruden and I will both tell you that we feel like we need to be a playoff team this year, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. You guys are all going to put that in your headlines, and I understand it, but that's what the expectation is. Then this from quarterback Derek Carr. I have a group of wideouts that I trust, that when I drop back, I'm going to throw the ball up to them, and I told them it's up to you if you want to make SportsCenter or not. How about first take? John Gruden's Raiders teams have not won more than 8 games in a season. Marcus, they're trying to make SportsCenter. Is there more pressure on Derek Carr or John Gruden?
John Gruden, because John Gruden is in charge of this whole operation. And listen, the Raiders wasn't bad because of Derek Carr. Derek Carr played well last year. This same team beat the Kansas City Chiefs because they can score at a high clip. John Gruden issue is what this defense gonna do, bro? And you the head coach, so you got to make those decisions. If we gonna kill Mike McCarthy for the Mike Nolan experience, I'm a damn sure kill John Gruden for what he has going on defensively. Now you bring in Gus Bradley, you hope to improve. You sign KJ Wright, who is a veteran presence that maybe can settle things down on this defense. Get this fixed, because honestly, this is a playoff team if they can show a pulse defensively. It's a lot similar to what the Dallas Cowboys have going on. You're giving up all of these points on defense, and your offense can score at a high clip, but you can't give up 30 points. I think I saw a stat where the Raiders gave up like 29 points a game. You ain't winning a lot of games like that. So for this team to be 8-8 last year was a miracle, and it speaks to how good Carr was, and Waller and Josh Jacobs and Henry Ruggs, all of these guys as a committee. Waller being the guy that has the talent to take you to the next level from the tight end spot. But the bottom line is John Gruden signed a 10-year, $100 million deal. His team has yet to make the playoffs. They have yet to rush the pass at a high clip after getting rid of Khalil Mack. They better show improvement defensively this year, or John Gruden's seat going to be super hot when it comes to those Las Vegas fans.
Yeah, my only thing is this, Swagoo. In what world, outside of college football, is your head coach paid more than your starting quarterback? I'll tell you where. Right here with the Las Vegas Raiders. I get, that's the thing. Like, John Gruden got 10 years, $100 million. And oh, by the way, that coaching money is guaranteed. It's guaranteed. They ain't taking that from nobody. Derek Carr only has about $40 million guaranteed out of his $125 million contract. And so when it comes to whose seat is hotter, who has more pressure, it's 100% Derek Carr. Because what's going to happen? We've seen this story before. All of a sudden, team is losing. And then who does John Gruden blame? Reggie McKenzie. He was a bad GM. All of a sudden, team is losing. Who does John Gruden blame? Oh, Paul Gunther. He was a bad DC. Now, if they lose again, it's going to probably go to Mike Mayock and it'll go to Derek Carr. So the issue is the money. He's got $100 million essentially guaranteed. That seat is not hot at all.
Well, Acho, I'll tell you, I don't agree with you because when you look at John Gruden, what was John Gruden doing before he was coaching?
Doing TV.
He was doing
years.
TV, living life, living his lavish life, right? You don't get into this game of coaching just because you want to get paid. You want to win. They're competitors too. Of course you want to get paid. Yeah, Acho, but
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
it don't
6,
matter.
7. They keep on going to 100.
I understand that. I understand that, Acho, but you want to win. That's the competitor in John Gruden. We know how John Gruden wants to compete. You want to win. You look at this defense last year. They was 25th in yards per game, 30th in points allowed, 30th on third downs, 29th in sacks. So no, it's not Derek Carr. Derek Carr, people was talking about him at some point this last year. He's having an MVP type like season early on. So no, it's not Derek Carr. It's John Gruden. Because the defense has to get right, like Marcus just talked about.
All right. Gentlemen, we're going to change things up here because there's a story I want to get to. So Phil Jackson obviously has coached a lot of really great players. But who is the best? Well, Dennis Rodman was on the Full Send podcast and said, Phil called me the best player he has ever coached. Harry.
Hey, I'm going to make y'all laugh for a second. I'm going to take it to Friday, the first Friday, when Felicia ran up on Smokey and was asking him something. But what did Smokey say? Man, hell no. Man, if Dennis Rodman don't get out of here with that nonsense. Phil Jackson telling you, Dennis Rodman, anything that you want to hear so you can go out there and perform. Your head coach, the greatest coach in basketball, Phil Jackson, understood that you was a different type of cat, and he had to handle you a different type of way. So that's why he told you was the greatest player of all time. So you can get out there and perform so they can win. Trust me. Dennis Rodman, you might not know it, but Michael Jordan is the greatest coach that greatest player that he's ever coached, just in case you didn't know.
Marcus?
Go ahead, Sacho.
No, it's all good. I'm chilling because I just got a text from Phil Jackson, too. He said I was the greatest player he's ever coached. So we all in the club. Welcome, Dennis, me and you. We the greatest. Let's eat, baby. Let's eat.
Oh, man.
No, I think Harry brought up the best point, man. When I watched that Last Dance and I saw that Phil Jackson agreed during the playoffs to let Dennis Rodman go to Vegas to get his mind right, that tells me Phil Jackson would have told Dennis Rodman anything to keep getting them rebounds and playing elite defense.
Who goes to Vegas
and
to get their mind right?
Rodman yeah,
There's other places to get your mind right.
That's who goes. Look, Vegas ain't even enough for Dennis Rodman when he was playing. That wasn't even enough. That was just a little relaxed breakaway. The bottom line is Phil Jackson in the Last Dance showed the one thing that I learned is that the mind, he's focused on the mind. He's focused on the mind of a player. And I don't know why Dennis Rodman at his age right now didn't realize that Dennis Rodman told him what a lot of men do every day with their significant other. Tell them what they need to hear so you can avoid the actual conversation that you really need to have. And that's what Phil Jackson did. And Dennis Rodman knows that. Phil Jackson knows that. Michael Jordan knows that. Sam Acho, Harry, Molly, everybody in the history knows that Phil Jackson told Dennis Rodman that to go along to get along so they could win a championship. But you go ahead with it, Rod, because you were a great player and you're a Hall of Famer. So if that's what you believe, you go ahead with it, big dog.
Go on with your bad self. All right, so I have always dreamt of doing.
This one Phil, hey, Mama, you know how Dennis Rodman got that meme. This one Phil was doing to Dennis.
Yeah. Okay, gentlemen. If you watch this show, you know that I love fashion. Okay, so I have always dreamt of doing wardrobe changes. Like maybe I would do the first hour one look, and then I would shake it up second hour. But then I realized, I'm just a sports anchor, and that's not what we do. But Sam Acho, that is what Sam Acho does. So Sam, that was you on Get Up. The chin strap looks tight. I'll give you that. You visited the barber out here. So you were kind of in your Sunday's best, the Easter colors earlier. That was for Greeny. And then you went with the fall look for us here on First Take. Take me through this decision process.
Well, Labor Day is coming soon. It's close to that September 6th date, which is my birthday, by the way. So I had to make my little outfit look right. I'm glad, though. Shout out to El, my barber out here. He got me right.
I told you. So, yeah, there we go. I like that. That's the commitment to change it up. And then Marcus, Marcus, you're just one shirt. Come on, Marcus. What? You've been doing this too long now? You don't care about us?
Molly, today Friday, I'm ready to go to the weekend and get a nice glass of yak and watch some college football this weekend. So I ain't got no damn time to be changing no wardrobe.
Yes, we have football this weekend. Okay, guys, real quick. Marcus, I'll start with you. Hold on, because you're a part of it.
Oh, okay.
I was just going to say, how excited are you? Obviously, all of us were fans of First Take before we were on the show. So how excited are you about this new First Take Monday? We're going to have the playmaker Michael Irvin versus the one and only Stephen A. Smith, and football.
I'm excited. I'm going to miss my guy, Max. I got to be honest. I got to say that before I go into it. But I'm excited for the fresh perspective. I'm excited for people with different ways that they go about debating and arguing and talking about sports. I think that's what everybody should be excited about. And you can get so many different tastes. Like this is tastemakers. Molly, you rich. You deal in them rich circles. So you know people when they use the word tastemakers and connoisseurs and all of that type of stuff. This is going to be phenomenal because you got different perspectives going at Stephen A. every day. Molly in here trying to hold the damn thing down. I'm going to help you, Molly. I'm there on Wednesday, so I got your back, sis. But the bottom line is this is going to be amazing, man, with fresh perspectives to debate and argue.
Absolutely. I'm excited, too. You got anything you want to say, Acho?
Nah, man, I just appreciate the outfit change. I had like 3 or 4 more, but I didn't show them, so I'm glad with the 2. You know
that's a first take first. That's all I got to say. All right, so I'm going to work on that and step my game up. Goodbye, everybody. See you Monday.